Okay, so there's actually one thing I'd like to go over first. Let me go ahead and show this functionality there. It exits the game. However, there is some code that I would like to kind of elaborate on. It's the splines themselves. So you can see here I'm going to do a little bit of a code breakdown really quickly. Upon construction of the spline actor, it gets the number of the spline points and adds 2 because at default it has 0 and activates the for loop here. So you can see here the construction script. We can go over here. And it takes the index from the for loop, and as you can see, it gets the index from the spline points being added here. It adds the spline mesh component. In this case, it's the pipe for this specific spline blueprint, and gets the static mesh, sets that, and the forward axis is actually an open-ended variable that you can set in the details panel later on as you're editing these in the editor interface. And then it goes into this big hodgepodge, which you can see here. This set of code gets and sets the tangents and locations of the spline actors or actor and attaches it to the component assigned to the spline. So it attaches here. The parent is being used by the spline itself, and the target is also being used by the spline itself. So it gets the locations and the spline points of the A and B points here, A and B points here, and adds 1 to the end here, so you can get 2 different points not stacked on top of each other when you're editing them. And then here it goes all the way into here. You plug all these in for the ends and the starts for the positions and tangents. The target is still the spline, and once you attach it, it fires into set, start, and end. So that is set, and it updates the mesh here as the boolean says. And then finally, you set the collision to enabled. So then you can actually walk on these splines, which I will show you here. If I can jump. There we go. So yeah, you can actually walk on these freely as much as you want and teleport them. Okay, so now that I've shown you this, I'm going to rather quickly blow through some of the other code, the important code that's in this project. I'm going to click through these tabs, and as I see it, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you about it. This is the option scaling. This is how it all, as the high button is clicked, it actually executes a console command. The back button takes you back to the main menu. Here's some of the main menu stuff. It disables the game mode so that you can actively use your cursor. Plays the alpha timeline animation where the alpha is blinking. Begin, settings, and exit button, respectively. Loading screen animations. Here's the physics for the ball. I just kind of, took from the first-person template and kind of, edited, tweaked it a little bit there. For the character attribute, there's the windscreen, cookie blueprint. Nothing special there. It's just a cookie. Panel splines. This is actually, I have a infographic that breaks this down in detail, so maybe we can look at that in class. The HUD here, this is basically how it adds the score. This is how it gets the score for the progress bar. This is the lose screen. Of course, it's just an animation when it triggers. This is the actually, this is in the first-person blueprint, and it has a custom event to decrease the score and increase the score depending on if your projectile accesses the collision box of the goal or the collision box of the panel splines. Of course, you can see the branches here, not the blanch, the branches that check to see if the score is at 100. And then here we have the teleportation mechanic. Takes the world location of the splines and stores that information, and as you hit the E key, it takes the capsule component of the player character and sets that to your world location. And then here we have the merge goal, which is actually where you're shooting to score. And on overlap of the collision box, I believe I actually break this down in the code as well, but cancel the first-person game mode and then calls the event dispatch for the score incrementer event. Sets that how many times it's been counted, and checks a score variable to make sure it's if it's greater than or equal to, then if that's true. Also, this is where it sets how much you score. We score 10 every time we shoot the goal. But if the score is equal to or greater than 100, it permanently sets that to 100. I believe here, yeah, it sets that if it's over 100, it sets it to just be 100, so you can't actually get more than 100. But it creates a windscreen widget, adds it to the viewport, spawns the cookie blueprint, and spawns 2 emitters, the sparks, delays for 4 seconds, and then it quits the game. Alright, so in this blueprint showcase video, I'd also like to go over some largely unused blueprint assets that I was working on before I ultimately decided on using the panel splines. In later revisions of this project, I'd like to probably go back and have the panel splines as well as the blueprints I'm about to show you to work in tandem for the player to go against. But as you can see here, I have a folder here called Enemy AI. And this is a lot of stuff I worked on before ultimately going with the splines as the score detractors. But I'd like to just go ahead and breeze through some of this. So the enemy AI here, it runs a behavior tree. The behavior trees can be found here. Of course, it has a root, selector, sequence, focus, task. It focuses on the player. I think I showed that in the actual presentation itself. They also have another function here called shoot, which I can show here. Cast to the enemy character gut, which is what I called it. Start shooting and finish execute, etc. Also originally wanted them to have certain functions and certain different things. As you can see here, I put some work into it after some research. You've got construction scripts here for firing the bullet. If I could speak, that'd be awesome. Cast to the enemy character gut. It gets the barrel reference point, spawns the first person projectile, etc. Enemy mesh, gets the animation instance. Really can't talk today. Montage play and stuff like that. Here's the focus task. This was probably the easiest thing to set up with the behavior tree as well as the this as well. You have two simple custom events here for firing and stopping firing. Here's the construction script that attaches the gun to the player. You can see that here. But yeah, this is the biggest probably. It's like an enemy character gut. This is all first person stuff. But here's the custom things I did on an event begin play cast to the first person animation blueprint. Gets the meshes animation instances and gets the gun, the child actor of the gun. I was going to have like semi-automatic weapons for them. As you can see, a lot of the stuff isn't firing right now, but I still wanted to show it just because I put some work into it, and I plan on getting it working sometime in the future. So firing it, cast to the gun parent, start shooting, stop shooting. There's some more stuff in here that I could get into, but that's pretty much the gist of it. You can see them here. They actually follow you around and track your movement. I just had to disable shooting for the gameplay presentation. So yeah, there's that as well. So yeah, that is my interaction for game design midterm presentation. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next project.